Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Personal Growth Talks podcast. I'm your host, Jackson. Thanks for joining us today. I'm taking you on a journey that could change how you think about money, life, and success. This isn't just a story. It's a lesson that helped millions of people, including me. We're talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a book that teaches how to be free with money and build a better future. Imagine you're a kid, watching two grown-ups in your life. One says, study hard, get a good job, and save your money. The other says, learn how money works, make it grow, and create wealth. Two very different paths. Which one would you choose? This was the life of Robert Kiyosaki, the man who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He had two men guiding him. He called them Poor Dad, his real father, and Rich Dad, his best friend's father. Poor Dad was very smart. He had a big education and worked as a teacher. He believed success came from good grades, hard work, and a steady job. But even with all his learning, Poor Dad struggled. He lived paycheck to paycheck, always worried about bills. He thought talking about money was rude. Rich Dad was different. He didn't have a fancy degree or a big job, but he understood money. He owned businesses, bought property, and made smart investments. He believed learning about money was more important than school. He said, "Don't work for money, make money work for you." Robert was caught between these two men. Poor Dad said, "Get a safe job." Rich Dad said, "Create jobs for others." Poor Dad thought money caused problems. Rich Dad thought not having money caused problems. Robert noticed something. Poor Dad, despite being smart, was always stressed about money. Rich Dad, with less school, was calm and confident about his future. One day, Robert asked Rich Dad, "Why are you so sure about money?" Rich Dad smiled and said, "Because I know how it works. Most people don't. They work their whole lives for money but never learn to make it work for them." Those words stuck with Robert. They sparked curiosity. He decided to learn from Rich Dad and follow his path. Let's pause and think. Isn't this how life is for many of us? We're told to go to school, get a job, and save for retirement. But does anyone teach us how to handle money? How to grow it? How to stop working just to pay bills? Your thoughts about money shape your future. If you think money is scary or bad, you'll always struggle. If you see it as a tool to build freedom, you open new doors. Rich Dad kept teaching Robert. One day he said, "The rich don't work for money." Robert was confused. "Isn't money why people work?" he asked. Rich Dad smiled and said, "No. Poor and middle-class people work for money. The rich make money work for them. That's the difference." Rich Dad explained the rat race. It's a trap most people fall into. You go to school, study hard, and get a job. You earn money and spend it on things like a house, a car, or new gadgets. But those things bring bills, loans, taxes, repairs. So you work harder to pay them. The cycle never ends. Rich Dad said, "People think they're working for safety, but they're working for their boss, the bank, or the government." Take Sarah, for example. She earns $3,000 a month as a clerk. When she gets a raise to $4,000, she buys a bigger house and a new TV. Her bills grow, so she works extra hours to cover them. She's stuck in the rat race, always running but never getting ahead. Rich Dad asked Robert, "Do you know what financial freedom is?" Robert shook his head. Rich Dad said, "It's when your investments or assets pay for your bills. You don't have to work unless you want to. Your money works for you." He explained that wealth isn't about earning a big salary. Even people with high-paying jobs can be broke if they spend too much. True wealth comes from assets, things that make money for you. Rich Dad taught Robert about assets and liabilities. An asset puts money in your pocket. like a house you rent out or stocks that pay dividends. A liability takes money out, like a car that needs gas, repairs, and insurance. Robert learned people often mistake liabilities for assets. A fancy car or a big house might feel like wealth, but they cost money, not make it. Here's an example. Tom saves $10,000 and buys a car. It needs fuel, maintenance, and insurance. Over time, the car's value drops. It's a liability because it takes money from Tom. Now, Lisa saves $10,000 and buys a small apartment. She rents it out for $200 a month. The apartment's value grows, and it keeps making money. That's an asset. Rich Dad said the rich buy assets first, like property, businesses, or stocks, before spending on fun things. He gave another example. Two families earn $5,000 a month. Family A spends it all on rent, food, and vacations. They have nothing left. Family B spends $4,000 and invests $1,000 in a small business. Over time, the business earns $500 a month. Eventually, their investments cover all their bills. Family B becomes free, while Family A stays stuck. Robert realized it's not about how much you earn, it's about how you use your money. Rich Dad said, don't say, I can't afford it. Ask, how can I afford it? That question makes you think of solutions, like saving more, starting a side job, or learning a new skill. Robert was scared of losing money. Rich Dad said, the rich take risks. If they fail, they learn and try again. The poor avoid risks, so they never grow. He shared a story about a man who started a bakery. It failed, but he learned why and tried again. His second bakery became a big success because he didn't give up. Rich Dad gave Robert simple steps to build wealth, even with little money. Track your spending. Write down everything you spend for a month. Find things you can cut, like eating out. Start small. Invest in something simple, like a savings account or a few stocks. Learn every day. Read books about money. Watch videos. Or talk to people who know more. Buy assets first. Focus on things that make money, like a rental property or a small business. Reinvest profits. Don't spend the money your investments make. Use it to buy more assets. As Robert followed these steps, his thinking changed. He stopped seeing money as something to spend right away. He saw it as a tool to grow. He started looking for opportunities, like a small shop for sale or a way to start a side business. Slowly, his life began to change. Rich Dad also taught Robert to control emotions. He said, fear and greed keep people poor. Fear stops people from trying new things. Imagine someone who wants to start a business but doesn't. Why? They're afraid of failing or losing money. So they stay in a job they don't like, earning just enough to get by. Greed is just as bad. It makes people think buying things will make them happy. If I get a new phone, I'll feel good, they say. But those things bring more bills and stress. Rich Dad said, happiness comes from freedom, not stuff. Freedom to do what you love and spend time with people you care about. Rich Dad told Robert, learn about money and fear goes away. Study investments, like how to buy stocks or property. Learn about taxes, how the rich pay less by being smart. Learn about the market, when to buy or sell. Knowledge builds confidence. Here's another lesson. Think like an investor, not a spender. If you get $1,000, don't buy clothes or gadgets. Ask, how can I make this $1,000 grow? Maybe you buy stocks, start a small online store, or take a course to learn a skill that pays more. Over time, an investor's money grows, while a spender's money disappears. Rich Dad said, opportunities are everywhere, but most people miss them. They're too busy working or spending. He gave Robert a task. When you walk down the street, don't just look at shops. Ask, how could I own one? What does this business need to succeed? Think like an owner, not a customer. Robert tried this and saw chances everywhere. A small cafe for sale, an old house to fix and rent, or an idea for a website. Others doubted Robert. They said, "You're too young to invest," or "That's too risky." Even poor Dad told him to focus on a safe job. Rich Dad said, "Don't listen to their fears. They're scared because they don't understand. Stay focused and find people who think like you, people who want to grow." Rich Dad said small steps build confidence. He told a story about a woman who wanted to invest but had only $50. She bought shares in a small company. Over time, her money grew, and she gained the courage to invest more. Small wins lead to bigger ones. Daily habits matter too. Rich Dad said, "Your habits shape your future." Save and invest a little every month, even if it's just $10. Pay yourself first. Put money in savings or investments before paying bills. Keep a journal to track your progress. Seeing your money grow keeps you motivated. Rich Dad warned about impatience. Wealth takes time, he said. It's like planting a tree. You plant the seed, water it, and wait. One day, it gives you fruit for years. Money works the same. Don't expect to get rich fast. Stay steady and keep learning. Another big lesson was about giving back. Rich Dad said, "The richest people help others." Robert was confused. "How does giving make you richer?" he asked. Rich Dad explained, "When you help others, you create value. Share knowledge, mentor someone, or give to a cause. It brings joy and builds connections." He shared a story about a man who gave money to a school for poor kids. It changed lives, and the man felt happier than ever. It also led to new business deals because people respected his kindness. One day, Rich Dad shared a final truth. Success isn't about luck or talent. It's about mindset, hard work, and action. He said, "Many people dream of being rich, but few act. They wait for the perfect time, but there's no perfect time. Start now with what you have." He gave an example. Two friends want to save. One says, "I'll start when I earn more." The other saves $10 a week. 10 years later, the second friend has a fortune, while the first is still waiting. Rich Dad said failure is part of success. He told a story about a woman who tried 3 businesses. All failed. People called her foolish, but she kept learning. Her 4th business became a huge success. If she stopped after the first failure, she'd never have made it, Rich Dad said. Rich Dad emphasized discipline. It's easy to spend, but it takes strength to save and invest, he said. Always pay yourself first, even if you have bills. Set aside money for investments, then figure out how to cover the rest. This builds habits that grow wealth. As their lessons ended, Rich Dad said, "Your thoughts create your reality. Focus on fears and you'll fail. Focus on dreams and you'll find ways to win." He told Robert to keep learning always. The moment you stop learning, you stop growing, he said. Years later, Robert looked back. Rich Dad's lessons gave him wealth, not just in money but in freedom and confidence. He could live the life he wanted and help others. He shared this message. No matter where you start, you can change your future. It doesn't matter if you have little money. What matters is your thinking and your actions. Wealth isn't just about money. It's about freedom to follow your dreams, spend time with people you love, and live without worry. Your journey to freedom starts today. Take small steps. Learn from mistakes. Keep going and don't give up. The world is full of chances waiting for you. Take the first step now and make it count. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We share simple lessons and valuable knowledge, teaching English through real stories to help you grow and succeed.